Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are cracking open a concept that has, well, it's become one of the most misunderstood topics in modern health. Carbohydrate metabolism. For years, diet trends have told us that carbohydrates are the enemy, the singular cause of weight gain, fatigue, and, even chronic disease.
Right, the big villain.
But we are not here to talk about restriction or fear. We are here to talk about fundamental, non-negotiable fuel.
That's such a crucial distinction. What if I told you that the key to boundless energy, incredible mental clarity, and yes, a longer, more robust life, it isn't found in avoiding carbohydrates.
Yeah. Okay.
But in profoundly understanding how your body processes them with precision and with efficiency.
So this is all about glucose.
This deep dive is all about glucose. It is the universal energy currency, and it powers every single function that defines you.
We're really looking past the fleeting fads today and simplifying some of the most complicated biology, the stuff you'd find in textbooks and medical journals, into, practical knowledge.
Knowledge you can actually use.
Exactly. Knowledge you can use to optimize your energy starting today. Our mission is clear. We are going to break down, step by step, how carbohydrates are metabolized.
We'll show you why this elegant mechanism is so crucial for both immediate energy and for long-term aging well.
And finally, how you can use this blueprint to achieve superior metabolic health and truly live better and longer.
It really is the metabolic blueprint for longevity. If we just, simplify the human machine for a second, every complex operation, from physical movement, maintaining your immune system,
all the way to your brain firing,
to the complex operations of your nervous system and the very processes of cellular repair, it's all powered, fundamentally, by converting what you eat into glucose.
So it's the most basic fuel source.
It is the most primal, most reliable, and most efficient fuel source we possess. The goal isn't to eliminate it. The goal is to master its use.
Okay, let's unpack this essential life fuel then. When we hear the word carbohydrate, the mind usually jumps straight to, refined foods like white bread or soda.
The ones with the bad reputation.
Right. But functionally, in the human body, carbs show up in three main structurally different forms.
Right.
We really need to distinguish between them.
That's absolutely right. When we look at macronutrients, the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, the carbs themselves have this clear hierarchy that's defined by their complexity.
Then that complexity changes how the body deals with them.
It dictates everything.
Yeah.
It's the key to metabolic health. So first you have the simple sugars.
Okay.
These are the small, immediate molecules, usually just one or two sugar units linked together. This group includes glucose itself, which is the finished product we're aiming for.
And things like fruit sugar.
Exactly. Fructose, which is naturally abundant in fruit, and sucrose, which is just common table sugar. That's a glucose and a fructose molecule bonded together.
So because they're already so small, the body doesn't have to do much work.
Almost no digestive effort at all. They're essentially ready-to-go fuel.
Which is why they hit the bloodstream so incredibly fast. That post-donut spike you feel is, well, it's very real.
Precisely. The speed of delivery is the defining characteristic here. Then you move up in complexity to complex carbohydrates.
Like starches.
Think starch, found in potatoes, grains, legumes, and certain vegetables. And also fiber. The crucial insight here for you is that complex carbohydrates are simply longer, intricately connected chains of that same glucose molecule.
So they're just bigger.
They're just much, much longer chains.
Oh, right.
And that length means the body has to invest significant time and enzymatic effort to, clip those chains apart, one by one, to release the glucose slowly.
So structurally, a bowl of brown rice isn't fundamentally different from table sugar. It's just that nature has locked the glucose inside a protective, complex container.
That's a perfect way to put it. The body has to dismantle the container, which is what slows down the absorption. And that brings us to the third form.
The stored form.
The stored carbohydrates, yes, that is glycogen. Glycogen is simply glucose molecules that the body has linked back together to store for later use.
Where does it keep it?
Primarily in the liver and the muscles. You can think of it as your body's personal, highly refined, short-term energy battery pack.
So when you're full, you charge the battery.
The system charges the glycogen battery. And when you're running low, it taps right back into that glycogen reserve.
So whether you're eating a bowl of whole grains, a yam, a piece of fruit, or a slice of complex whole wheat bread, the body doesn't really care about the original packaging material, does it?
Not ultimately, no. The body has one singular fundamental goal, and it is mandatory for life. Convert all digestible carbohydrates into glucose.
That's the mission.
That's the mission. It's the universal currency that is recognized and accepted by every single cell membrane. It's the energy source every cell is built to utilize first.
And why is this conversion so essential? What happens to the system if that glucose supply is suddenly disrupted or, just insufficient? We hear the term hypoglycemia thrown around.
Well, when glucose dips too low a state we call hypoglycemia, the consequences are immediate and severe. And frankly, they can be quite frightening to witness in a clinical setting. It's not just a little hunger pang.
It's more serious than that.
Much more. In my years of practice, what I see is that the brain, which relies almost exclusively on a continuous supply of glucose for its staggering energy needs, it slows down immediately.
How does that show up?
It manifests as instant mental fog, difficulty with executive function, short-term memory failure, and drastic mood swings. We're talking of the sudden inability to make clear decisions. This is the brain signaling a major fuel crisis.
So that hangry feeling isn't just psychological, it's a primal biochemical starvation signal.
Precisely. And beyond that, your muscles start weakening rapidly, affecting your physical capability and coordination. Finally, your vital organs struggle to maintain their complex functions. Glucose is mandatory. It is foundational life fuel.
So when people complain about their energy crashing, they're really talking about a glucose problem.
They are describing an inefficient or unstable glucose delivery system. A stable, efficient system is what's required to maintain the consistent energy flow you need to live a long life robustly.
And understanding how this delivery system works, from the complex input to the stable output, is the very foundation of longevity. If you're serious about building those long-term health habits and living a longer, healthier life, this is exactly the kind of essential, foundational conversation we have here. So make sure you are subscribed. We are committed to arming you with the knowledge that truly matters beyond the latest fleeting trends. So the food is consumed and the body has its marching orders. Convert it all into glucose. Where does this epic journey of conversion actually begin, and how quickly does the body start working on it?
It begins immediately. The instant food touches your tongue. We call this the starting line, the mouth.
Really? That fast?
That fast. As you start chewing, your salivary glands release an enzyme called salivary amylase. This enzyme instantly starts breaking down complex starch, those long glucose chains, into smaller, simpler sugar units.
Wow.
It's a beautiful example of the body optimizing digestion. If you take a piece of plain, unprocessed cracker or bread and just chew it slowly for a minute without swallowing, it will start to taste sweet.
I've noticed that.
That sweetness is the amylase doing its job, snipping the starch into maltose, which is a simpler sugar. That initial digestion is already underway before the food is even swallowed.
That initial chemical work is fascinating. But then we swallow and the food mass hits the incredibly acidic environment of the stomach and things change dramatically, right?
They do. The stomach acts as the pause. The acidic environment of the stomach, which is brilliant for breaking down proteins and killing ingested bacteria, effectively pauses carbohydrate digestion.
So it stops the amylase.
Instantly. Those amylase enzymes that work so well in the neutral environment of the mouth are denatured by the acid. The stomach is primarily focused on mechanical mixing and creating a semi-liquid slurry called chyme, not on splitting sugar chains.
So the stomach holds the line, but the moment that chyme leaves the stomach and enters the small intestine, that's where the primary metabolic work really kicks off.
That is the main event. The small intestine is the true hub of metabolic absorption. As the acidic chyme enters, the pancreas senses the incoming carbohydrates and releases a powerful neutralizing buffer and a highly specialized cocktail of digestive enzymes.
Okay.
These pancreatic enzymes are what's responsible for converting all remaining carbohydrates into their final absorbable single unit forms: glucose, fructose, and galactose.
This process has to be efficient, I'm guessing.
It must be.
Yeah.
In my experience, if this digestive step is slow or inefficient, it can lead to all sorts of digestive complaints. But assuming it's working well, the complex food structure is fully broken down into its basic monomers.
And what happens once they are those single unit molecules?
These minuscule sugar molecules are then rapidly absorbed through specialized transport proteins along the wall of the small intestine directly into the bloodstream. And where they carried first? To the central command center, the liver.
Let's linger on that speed of absorption for a second, because you mentioned earlier the difference between a simple sugar hitting the liver like a tidal wave and a complex carb offering a gentle trickle. This is the first critical fork in the road, isn't it?
It is the defining moment. Anyone who has worked with individuals seeking better metabolic control understands this intimately. The speed of this absorption dictates the entire initial metabolic response. Think of it like a dam.
Okay.
Simple, refined sugars are absorbed incredibly fast because there's no container to break down. They hit the liver like a massive sudden flood.
And the complex carbs?
Fiber-rich, complex carbs, however, are absorbed slowly. The fiber in the food acts as a natural brake, providing a smooth, manageable delivery of glucose into the system. This journey from mouth to liver isn't just digestion.
It's setting the stage.
It's the critical first step that defines your entire metabolic state. It determines whether your system has to scramble to catch up or if it can regulate gracefully. The difference between a managed trickle and a sudden flood sets the tone for everything we're about to discuss concerning energy stability and longevity.
So all the freshly absorbed sugars, the glucose, fructose, and galactose, arrive via the portal vein at the liver. We called it the central processing unit earlier, but it really sounds like the ultimate air traffic control tower for all incoming fuel.
It is absolutely the metabolic control center. The liver is the critical, non-negotiable organ that decides the fate of every sugar molecule that passes through it.
And this decision is key.
This decision-making process, whether it handles the incoming load efficiently or struggles under constant pressure, is the fine line that separates metabolic health from the rapid path toward insulin resistance and metabolic disease.
So what are the liver's main operational choices when it's faced with this influx of absorbed glucose? It can't just let it all flood the system.
No, it is a master regulator. It has to maintain a very strict blood glucose level. It has 4 primary operational options, and it prioritizes them based on the body's immediate systemic needs and its existing reserves.
Okay, what's option 1?
The first and most straightforward is immediate energy release. If your body is currently active, if your cells, especially your brain and muscles, are calling out for fuel to maintain current activity, the liver releases that glucose directly into the systemic circulation.
So it's used right away.
It ensures cells have the instant fuel they need, keeping performance high and preventing hypoglycemia.
And option 2 is about saving it for later.
That's storage as liver glycogen. If the immediate energy needs are met, say you're sitting down, resting, the liver starts using enzymes to link that glucose up and stores it as liver glycogen.
Like a checking account.
It's a readily accessible checking account. The liver can store enough glycogen to maintain blood sugar stability for roughly 12 to 24 hours in a non-fasting individual.
And why is this specific liver store so important?
Because when blood sugar dips slightly between meals or overnight during sleep, the liver breaks this glycogen down quickly. It releases glucose back into the blood to maintain that crucial balance, ensuring the brain, which is incredibly sensitive to fuel changes, never goes hungry.
It's the body's buffer.
It is the body's essential buffer against fasting.
Now we get to the third option, the one that becomes the primary driver of so many chronic metabolic issues, especially in modern society where food is so abundant.
You're referring to the conversion to fat. This process is called de novo lipogenesis, the creation of new fat.
And when does this happen?
This happens when 2 conditions are met. 1, your immediate energy needs are already met, and 2, your liver and muscle glycogen stores are completely full, saturated.
Yeah.
The system is overflowing.
There's nowhere else to put it.
At this point, the liver says, I have nowhere else to put this fuel. I cannot let this excess glucose float around the bloodstream and cause cellular damage. So it converts that excess glucose into fatty acids.
And then what?
These fatty acids are packaged into triglycerides and exported to be stored as adipose tissue body fat, or, more dangerously, they get stirred within the liver itself.
So the common wisdom that fat makes you fat is often incomplete. It's really the excess caloric energy, frequently from carbs that saturate the system, that ends up stored as fat, starting right there in the liver.
Exactly. When you chronically saturate the liver with more glucose than it can use or store efficiently, this fat conversion becomes the constant default.
And that's a big problem.
This is where we start seeing the buildup of fat, not just externally, but around the organs, leading inevitably to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. NAFLD is becoming one of the clearest indicators of failing metabolic health and accelerated aging worldwide. It literally means the metabolic control center is congested and stressed.
And the final critical overarching function, the one that governs all 3 choices we just discussed.
That is blood sugar balance and regulation. This is the liver's constant 247 mission. The brain requires a very narrow, tightly controlled range of glucose.
Not too high, not too low.
Right? Too high, and the excess sugar damages cellular structures through processes like glycation. Too low, and the brain starves. The liver is the ultimate stabilizer. releasing stored glycogen or taking up excess glucose to keep that level within that narrow, safe band.
So a healthy liver is key to a healthy metabolism.
The more efficiently your liver performs this regulation, the healthier your metabolism is for sustained longevity.
The liver has done its job, releasing glucose into the bloodstream where it's distributed and picked up by cells. Now we transition into the pathway that happens inside every single cell in the body, from head to toe, the true engine room, glycolysis.
Glycolysis is where the rubber meets the road. It's the first step of active energy generation.
Yeah.
It is arguably the most fundamental and ancient metabolic pathway in existence.
And it happens everywhere.
It occurs in the cytosol, the watery fluid of every single cell. It is the universal entry point for all carbohydrate-derived energy.
The name itself gives us a clue as to what's happening.
It does. The word itself is very descriptive. Glyco refers to glucose, and lysis means breaking apart. So it literally translates to breaking glucose apart to release energy.
And how does it work?
The process is a stunning 10-step series of enzyme-driven chemical reactions, a metabolic cascade that's been perfected over billions of years of evolution. To simplify this complex pathway, one molecule of glucose, which is a 6-carbon sugar, is chemically altered and split down the middle.
Into what?
Into 2 smaller 3-carbon molecules called pyruvate.
And the purpose of all this splitting and breaking, what's the yield? What do we get out of it?
The primary purpose is to generate essential energy compounds. This process produces a few crucial outputs, but only a small amount of immediate energy.
Okay, what's the first output?
The first output is a small net gain of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the universal immediate rechargeable energy currency.
ATP, the energy coin.
Think of ATP as the fully charged, ready-to-use coin the cell uses to pay for everything, making proteins, sending signals, moving things around.
And the second key output, the one that sets the stage for the next level of energy production.
That's NADH. These molecules are high-energy electron carriers. They are not the energy itself. They are like specialized armored courier trucks carrying highly valuable cargo high-energy electrons to be used later.
So they're potential energy.
They represent stored energy potential that the cell will cash in later for a massive return.
This process is happening right now in trillions of our cells as we speak. But here is the eye-opening insight, the part that speaks to fundamental survival biology and why glycolysis is so primal.
Absolutely. The defining characteristic of glycolysis, the reason it is so fundamental to survival, is that it does not require oxygen.
It's anaerobic.
It's an anaerobic process.
That feels counterintuitive to our modern understanding because we associate deep, sustainable energy production with breathing and oxygen.
We do. But glycolysis evolved before large amounts of oxygen were even prevalent in the atmosphere. It is the body's ancient, built-in survival system.
So it's an emergency generator.
It means that your cells can still generate that small amount of emergency ATP, even during conditions of intense cellular stress, where oxygen delivery is insufficient, like sprinting for your life, pushing a max weight lift, or during emergency situations where blood flow might be compromised.
So it's quick and dirty, but reliable.
It's the quick, dirty, but absolutely reliable way to get energy when the system is starved for air.
That truly highlights the body's resilience. If this insight that your body can literally make energy without breathing is making you rethink your own body's resilience and metabolic power, give this deep dive a like. This knowledge really defines metabolic robustness. So we've produced pyruvate from the glucose molecule via glycolysis. That pyruvate is now standing at a metabolic crossroads, has a binary choice to make. And the decision on which path to take depends entirely on one factor, the availability of oxygen.
This is where we separate the sustained health pathway, the longevity pathway, from the necessary but costly emergency pathway. The body is always optimizing for the greatest return, and its primary choice is always maximum efficiency, provided the resources are there.
Let's start with the ideal high-efficiency route. This happens when oxygen is plentiful, which is to say, during rest, walking, or any steady-state sustainable activity. This is the goal for daily longevity.
Right. If oxygen is readily present, the 2 pyruvate molecules produced by glycolysis are ushered into the most efficient factories the cell has, the mitochondria.
The cellular powerhouses.
The powerhouses. Once inside the mitochondria, the pyruvate is quickly converted into a key 2-carbon compound called acetyl-CoA. This molecule is the true entry point into the body's super-efficient long-term energy generation system.
And that system immediately feeds into the cycle we all vaguely remember from high school biology.
Exactly. Acetyl-CoA immediately enters the citric acid cycle. also known as the Krebs cycle. And this cycle's primary elegant job is not to generate huge amounts of ATP directly, but to systematically strip all the remaining energy in the form of high-energy electrons from that acetyl-CoA molecule.
And those electrons go where?
Those electrons are then captured by our courier trucks, the NADH molecules, and passed down the electron transport chain. The ETC is the real energy factory.
This is where the magic happens.
It uses oxygen as the final acceptor for those electrons, which creates a massive energy gradient across the mitochondrial membrane. It essentially functions like a massive hydroelectric dam. The resulting flow generates huge, massive amounts of ATP.
How does the scale of energy output compare? Is the difference between glycolysis and this aerobic path like comparing a flashlight battery to a fusion reactor?
That's a wonderful analogy. It really is. Glycolysis gives you only a small handful of ATP, enough for a few seconds of emergency action.
It's just a spark.
But the full aerobic pathway, spanning the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain, yields a monumental amount of ATP, up to 34 or 36 ATP molecules per glucose. We're talking orders of magnitude more, with minimal cellular waste.
This level of efficiency is the secret to long-term health.
It is the definition of metabolic success. This is maximum efficiency. This is a pathway we want to prioritize for longevity because it allows for sustained energy all day without excessive metabolic stress.
So you feel better.
It keeps your cells performing optimally, supports deep cellular repair, and prevents the buildup of acidic byproducts that accelerate aging. When we talk about feeling sharp and energized all day, we're talking about maintaining a highly efficient aerobic metabolism.
Now let's pivot to the emergency scenario. What happens when oxygen suddenly becomes the limiting factor, say during the final 100 meters of a sprint or the last all-out repetition of a heavy weightlift?
Well, when oxygen becomes scarce, the mitochondria, that aerobic factory, starts to back up and slow down. But your cells, particularly muscle cells, still have an immediate, urgent need for ATP right now.
So they need a workaround.
They need it now. So the pyruvate is diverted out of the mitochondria pathway. Instead of entering the aerobic cycle, it converts into lactic acid, which quickly becomes lactate.
And why does it do that?
This conversion is necessary because it serves a critical regenerative purpose. It regenerates a factor called NAD+ that's required for glycolysis to continue running.
So it keeps the first part of the system going.
Exactly. Since glycolysis doesn't need oxygen, regenerating this factor allows the cell to keep churning out that small amount of rapid ATP, that quick emergency fuel burst.
So the cell accepts a lower, faster energy yield simply to keep the lights on for a few extra moments of intense effort.
Exactly. This pathway is vital. It allows you to produce immediate bursts of energy, which is essential for survival mechanisms, the fight or flight response, or for high-intensity athletic activities.
Right.
This is why you can still sprint for 15 seconds, even if you haven't eaten for 6 hours. Your muscles carry their own private stash of glycogen and are capable of this quick anaerobic burn.
But there is a significant cost, and this is why constantly relying on this anaerobic mechanism isn't a sustainable path for daily life or for longevity.
The cost is increased metabolic stress and inevitable fatigue. Lactic acid buildup itself isn't the enemy. The liver is very good at processing lactate. But constantly relying on the anaerobic pathway means you're operating on a survival mechanism.
An inefficient one.
One that produces energy inefficiently and creates byproducts much faster than your overall system can gracefully clear them. Long-term reliance on this constantly strains the cardiovascular and metabolic systems.
So balance is key.
We want the flexibility to use the anaerobic path when needed, but for 95% of our lives, we must prioritize the high-yield, low-stress aerobic pathway for daily function and longevity.
We've covered the immediate use of glucose, but the body is also a master planner designed to store energy for later use. When we take in more glucose than we need immediately, the body converts it into our primary storage form, glycogen.
That's right. Glycogen is the highly refined, accessible fuel reserve. And it's stored primarily in 2 locations. And it's important to understand their very distinct functional roles.
Okay, where are they?
We store glycogen in the liver. And this store is the body's public reserve. It's crucial for maintaining blood sugar stability for the entire body.
So the liver shares its stash.
It sacrifices its own glycogen to feed the rest of the body, especially the brain, when it detects blood sugar is dropping.
And the second location?
That we store it in the muscles. And this store is the private reserve. It's dedicated strictly for muscular activity.
Private.
Unlike the liver, muscle cells cannot release their stored glycogen back into the general circulation. They use it exclusively for themselves, powering explosive efforts or sustained endurance.
So that's that 15-second sprint you mentioned.
That's why you can still sprint for 15 seconds, even if you haven't eaten for 6 hours. Your muscles carry their own dedicated private stash.
And this whole storage system is managed by two opposing hormonally driven pathways.
Yes, the system is dynamically controlled. First, you have glycogenesis, which is glycogen generation. It's the process of taking excess circulating glucose and building it up into those long glycogen chains, storing the fuel.
And what triggers that?
This process is typically stimulated by the hormone insulin, which signals satiety and abundance after a meal.
And the reverse process.
Second, you have glycogenolysis, which is glycogen splitting. It's the reverse. It's the process of breaking those glycogen chains back down into usable glucose when the body detects blood sugar is dropping and needs a quick refill.
And that's driven by a different hormone.
Usually driven by hormones like glucagon.
Why is this sophisticated system of storage and release so vital for our long-term health and the goal of longevity? It seems so complex just to manage sugar.
Because stability equals less stress. This system is the body's primary defense mechanism against rapid blood sugar fluctuations.
The metabolic roller coaster.
When you avoid those dramatic dips and spikes, that roller coaster, you protect your cells from unnecessary inflammation and oxidative damage.
And it protects the brain.
Crucially, robust liver glycogen protects the brain during any fasting window or long periods between meals. If your liver reserves are healthy and well managed, your brain has a steady, reliable supply of its preferred fuel source.
Which leads to better thinking.
Better cognitive function, mental clarity, and critically cognitive preservation as you age. We've known this for generations. If you observe centenarians, they aren't typically prone to the dramatic sugar spikes and crashes that force the metabolic system into emergency mode.
They're more stable.
They maintain stable glycogen balance. Longevity is found in metabolic equilibrium, and this sophisticated storage system is key to maintaining it.
We've established repeatedly that glucose is essential for life, particularly for brain function, which needs a constant supply. But let's address a common counterargument right here.
Okay.
If the body has this backup plan, gluconeogenesis, and it's so powerful it can create glucose from fat and protein, isn't that proof that we don't actually need carbohydrates? What happens if we rely heavily on this backup plan?
That is a fundamental question, and it is at the heart of much of the modern dietary debate. And no, the system does not shut down. The body is brilliantly resilient. This powerful backup plan is called gluconeogenesis, GNG, and it's why humans could survive periods of famine.
Which, as a reminder, means creating new glucose.
Precisely. It is the mechanism that literally manufactures glucose from non-carbohydrate sources, ensuring the brain and other obligate glucose users, like red blood cells, never run out, even when dietary intake is zero.
And the body is pretty resourceful about what it converts.
It is. It can utilize amino acids, which are often stripped from muscle protein breakdown, lactate, which is a byproduct of that anaerobic metabolism we discussed, and glycerol, which is released when the body breaks down stored fat.
And this all happens mainly in the liver.
Correct, primarily in the liver, with some contribution from the kidneys. It is the liver, again, acting as the ultimate metabolic control center, managing incoming fuel, stored fuel, and manufacturing new fuel when needed.
So why shouldn't we just rely on this system? If I can eat just protein and fat, and my body will simply create all the glucose the brain needs, what's the cost of forcing my body to constantly run this emergency generator?
That is the essential nuance often missing from these diet conversations. While GNG is critical for survival and highly effective, chronic, unnecessary overactivation of gluconeogenesis can create systemic strain.
How so?
When you constantly force your body to create glucose from non-carbohydrate sources, particularly amino acids, you are potentially asking your body to break down muscle protein, a process known as catabolism.
Breaking down your own muscle.
And muscle tissue is metabolically expensive to maintain. Preserving lean muscle mass is absolutely critical for health span and longevity, especially as we age.
So essentially, you're borrowing energy from your future strength.
Exactly. You are depleting other crucial long-term structural resources to pay for immediate fuel needs that could easily be covered by quality dietary carbohydrates.
So the system is resilient, but it has its preferences.
The system is undeniably resilient, but it works best when it is respected. Providing sufficient high-quality complex carbohydrates allows the body to run the high-efficiency aerobic pathway optimally, saving the costly GNG backup for true emergencies or necessary fasting periods. The centenarians we observe are masters of balance, not constant deprivation.
We've now cataloged all the body's magnificent mechanisms, the power plants, the storage facilities, and the emergency backup generator. Now let's ask the ultimate question. What happens when we run this magnificent, finely tuned system poorly for 50 years? How does the concept of metabolic efficiency impact the aging process?
This is where we connect the dots between the biochemistry and the reality of how long and how well you will live. Longevity is fundamentally an exercise in efficiency, stability, and damage control. If the system is constantly stressed, it wears out faster.
Let's first outline the vicious cycle. What goes wrong when the system breaks down, which is tragically so common today?
When the carbohydrate metabolism system is chronically overwhelmed, when the liver is saturated by rapid influxes of sugar, or when the cells are bombarded by too much glucose too fast, too often, the body is forced to release massive amounts of insulin. The first major failure point is insulin resistance.
The cells stop listening.
The cells, weary of constantly responding to high, sustained insulin signals, start ignoring the hormone. They effectively say, "We're full, stop knocking." The cell membrane receptors become less sensitive.
And the glucose gets stuck in the blood.
Meaning glucose is left floating in the bloodstream at high levels, causing systemic damage.
And those high levels of glucose in the blood have a compounding negative effect.
They lead directly to chronic inflammation. Excess sugar circulating in the blood reacts non-enzymatically with proteins and fats in the body, a process called glycation. This creates damaged compounds that trigger inflammatory responses throughout the body.
And inflammation is a known driver of aging.
Chronic inflammation is the silent accelerator of aging. It contributes to arterial stiffening, neurodegenerative issues, and overall systemic decline.
And where does this spiral end?
Left unaddressed, this downward spiral progresses rapidly towards type 2 diabetes, vascular damage, and overall accelerated aging. Core metabolic health is not just a disease risk. It's a failure of the fundamental energy system that causes the body to wear out prematurely due to constant unnecessary stress.
Now let's talk about the ideal state, the virtuous cycle, the benefits of an efficient system.
The benefits are profound, and they manifest daily. When your liver is managing glucose flow perfectly and your cells are acutely sensitive to insulin, meaning they immediately open the door for glucose when insulin knocks, you experience stable, reliable energy.
All day long.
Throughout the entire day. You avoid those dramatic blood sugar peaks and the ensuing 3 p.m. crash.
And that stability helps the brain.
It directly translates to brain clarity and cognitive preservation. The brain receives that steady, clean, controlled fuel it needs, reducing the neuroinflammation associated with fluctuating glucose levels.
We also see dramatic muscle preservation.
Exactly. Efficient glucose uptake means that muscles are well fed and function optimally. They aren't cannibalized by gluconeogenesis, which ensures superior health span.
And the cells get a break.
Finally, when the system is running smoothly, cells can dedicate their resources to enhanced cellular repair processes instead of being distracted by constant inflammation and damage control.
So the key insight here is that longevity isn't about waging war on carbohydrates.
Not at all. It's about metabolizing them with maximum efficiency. It's about being so adept at processing glucose that it perfectly fuels you without causing the cellular damage that accelerates aging.
This science is compelling, but now we need to bring it right down to the kitchen and the daily routine. What practical, actionable steps can listeners take right now to improve their carbohydrate metabolism, enhance insulin sensitivity, and truly tap into this longevity blueprint? We need that experienced Centenarian-style wisdom.
Absolutely. We transition now from the deep science to actionable guidance, reflecting the simple, consistent habits we see time and again in the longest-lived, healthiest populations. These steps are all rooted in respecting the body's natural metabolic pace.
Okay, what's the first, most fundamental thing people can do?
The first step is fundamental, and it directly addresses the tidal wave problem we discussed earlier. Prioritize whole foods, specifically choosing fiber and structure over refined sugars.
So avoid the naked sugar.
Refined sugar is structurally naked. It's pure, fast glucose delivery. It overwhelms the system too quickly, spiking blood sugar dramatically, stressing the pancreas, and immediately saturating the liver.
So we should be using the structure found in nature as our metabolic tool.
Yeah, exactly. Focus on fiber. Fiber is nature's speed bump and should be viewed as a mandatory component of a healthy carbohydrate meal.
How does it work again?
Fiber slows down the entire digestion and absorption process in the small intestine. By slowing absorption, fiber ensures your glucose delivery is a gentle, sustained trickle. preventing the liver saturation that forces you down the path of fat conversion.
It's a simple fix.
In my years of practice, I see that adding a simple handful of high-fiber vegetables or legumes to a meal is one of the quickest ways to improve post-meal glucose stability.
The third point addresses the reality of modern food availability, where we are just encouraged to overconsume everything.
Controlled portions. This is about respecting the body's metabolic capacity at any one time. Even if you are eating the highest quality complex carbohydrates, if you consume them in massive quantities, you still force saturation.
So you have to match intake to output.
You must match your portion size to your current energy expenditure. If you are sedentary, your glycogen stores are full, any excess consumption is immediately converted to fat. Healthy portions are crucial for keeping those liver and muscle glycogen stores healthy, but not overflowing.
And finally, the most powerful tool, the ultimate free, accessible metabolic optimizer that interacts directly with our energy pathways.
Physical activity. This is the non-negotiable hack, and it is the single greatest immediate boost to metabolic efficiency.
How so?
Physical activity, even a simple brisk walk for 15 minutes after a meal, enhances glucose uptake by the muscles. When your muscles are active, they become incredibly hungry for glucose. They effectively vacuum it out of the bloodstream.
So they help the liver out.
This immediately improves insulin sensitivity because the muscles are using a non-insulin dependent pathway to pull in glucose. It gives the liver a much-needed break from regulation duty. Exercise is not just about burning calories, it is medicine for your metabolic system.
So the goal is flexibility.
The overall objective here is metabolic flexibility. The ability to switch easily between utilizing glucose for high-intensity, immediate needs, and utilizing fat for sustained low-intensity fuel, like when you're resting or fasting.
Respecting the system.
Your body was beautifully designed to handle carbohydrates. When you prioritize slow delivery, control your portions, and use movement as medicine, the system functions exactly as intended, promoting superior health span.
We've covered a lot of deep science here, from glycolysis's ancient survival role all the way to gluconeogenesis. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell us what you're changing first. Are you committing to adding more fiber to your breakfast, or are you prioritizing movement right after your main meal? This small action is where long-term change begins. What an illuminating deep dive. If there is one central liberating message to take away from all this, it is this. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. Misunderstanding how to metabolize them efficiently is the real challenge. The body is always trying to work for you.
When you grasp this metabolic blueprint, when you understand how glucose moves from your plate through your liver and into the high-efficiency aerobic powerhouses of your cells, you stop guessing about diet. You truly understand energy.
And aging.
You understand the drivers of aging, and you hold the practical key to longevity.
We've looked at the incredible efficiency of the mitochondria, the essential role of the liver in regulation, and the sheer power of simply adding a walk to improve your insulin sensitivity. It's all about working with your biology, not against it.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to carry into your week. We talk endlessly about what foods we should restrict or what you should eat less of.
Right.
But the ultimate secret to reaching 100 years strong might not be what you subtract from your plate, but rather how well and how smoothly your body processes the energy you do consume, regardless of whether it came from a carb, a fat, or a protein.
So it's about efficiency.
It's all about efficiency. I challenge you this week to track your energy levels, not just your caloric intake, paying particular attention to the stability that efficient glucose management provides. A stable energy curve, avoiding the dramatic peaks and troughs, is the physical felt experience of a well-aged and highly resilient metabolism. Go out and find that metabolic equilibrium.